Well, with more on the message President Zelenskyy could deliver to the Canadian Parliament, let's bring in Ukraine's chargé d'affaires to Canada, Andrii Bukvych. Mr. Bukvych, first of all, thanks for taking time to speak with me ahead of this historic moment in the Canada-Ukraine relationship. What's the message your president wants to deliver to Canadians?
Of course, I'm not a president speechwriter, but what I can tell you for sure that President will tell Canada what happens in Ukraine today, why it matters to Canada and the whole world, and what Canada and the whole world can do to support Ukraine and support our fight for freedom, and the freedom not only of Ukraine, but the whole world, and the European Union in the first place.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I suspect he will make the case that Ukraine's on the front line, as you touched on, of the battle to defend the rules-based world order on behalf of all other democracies in the world. But does Ukraine believe that countries, including Canada, have been doing enough to do their part against Russia in the defense of Ukraine and in the defense of the rules-based order that we enjoy in this world?
Well, I think a lot of have been done so far by international partners, including Canada, who support Ukraine. At the same time, still a lot of should be done, or I would even say must be done, given the size of humanitarian tragedy that happens now in Ukraine. Unfortunately, it seems that despite huge benefit Russian military has over Ukraine, they are unable to have quick win. They are unable to break our will to defend ourselves. They do not have any noticeable tactical victories. They are not prevailing. It's Ukrainian forces that counterattack now, and that's why it seems Russia and Russian invaders proceed to the next steps of their sinister tactics. What they're doing, they're massively, indiscriminately shelling Ukrainian cities, Ukrainian residence area. There are thousands of civilian casualties. As of now, there are 90 children killed, more than 100 wounded. And this is exactly the result of Russian inability to fight against Ukrainian army. So they opted for fight against Ukrainian civilians and bring as much horrors as is possible. As the Russian invaders did in Syria, in Chechnya, in Georgia, that's what they are now doing in Ukraine.
Okay, so they and I'm sure that's the case that President Zelenskyy will make to Canadian parliamentarians as well. I expect he will also call upon Canada and other NATO countries to impose a no-fly zone that they've so far rejected. They're concerned about escalating the war to the rest of Europe and even beyond. So what do you think of that reluctance to enact a no-fly zone?
Well, let's be honest. The new war has started, and it seems that at this moment a lot of other countries are engaged. Yesterday, Russian pilots they airstriked the infrastructure object 20 kilometers from Polish border. We have this information that Russian government and Kremlin is directly threatening Poland for the efforts to help Ukrainian civilians look in shelter. They told Polish government that they are ready to attack Polish land. So what we see now, it's pretty much the full-fledged war with multiple international participants. And it seems the later the response from NATO, from G7, from European Union will be, very decisive, resolute response to Russian aggressive plans to attack not only Ukraine, but also Baltic states, Poland, perhaps other European countries. The earlier the response will come, the earlier Putin and his cronies will be stopped in Ukraine.
Okay. Setting aside demands for a no-fly zone, what more would you like to see from Canada? What more will President Zelenskyy ask for?
Well, there are different capacities, different roles Canada can play. You might remember World War II and the brilliant role Canada played supporting supporting Britain as its ally, while other countries manufacturing planes, fighters, were prone to directly support the UK. So I believe there are in many ways Canada can support us. We still need a lot of firearms to provide them to our territorial defense, a part of Ukrainian armed forces, where ordinary Ukrainians ready to fight for their villages, street houses, and to counter Russian aggression. We are closely working with the National Ministry of Defense, with Prime Minister, with Cabinet on different ways how to support Ukrainian fight, but it should be done very quickly. It's a time when decision should be taken very quickly. From the political decision to the implementation of the decision, right, the time should be very short.
Okay. Listen, thank you so much for giving us your perspective on what to watch for. Andrii Bukvych, who's the chargé d'affaires of Ukraine in Canada. Thank you so much for your time today. Do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.